can remind you.
Yeah, just remind me. So
Yeah.
Because I also get Robert.
Yeah, I know.
Which is fine.
That's okay, all right.
I'm just gonna put it down. Oh, yeah.
Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Providence, where we love beyond belief. My name is Kim Noble, and I will be your worship associate today. A special welcome to those of you who are joining us remotely, from wherever you may be, nearby or far away. During the summer, while our ministers are away, the worship committee hosts a series of services which are led by church members or friends, with music also provided by church members and friends. This morning, Tony Allen, Diana Cole, Holly Dobbs, Betty Finn, Greg Nisley, and I will be sharing favorite poems. We're especially happy to be able to draw on the artistic legacy of Irene Allen, a longtime member of First U, who shared so much of herself with this community. Through her paintings, Irene expressed her passion for art and explored the natural world and her own inner life. Thanks to a beautiful book Tony created, The Art of Irene Allen, we were able to learn about the wonderful body of work she made over the last 20 years of her life. And we had so many wonderful paintings to choose from in selecting those that would accompany our poems. It was a fun and spiritually nourishing exercise, and we're so happy to share her work and the poems we will pair with them today. We're hoping you enjoy the paintings and poems together. Did I say that? Paintings and poems together one more time. To that end, we'll be showing Irene's paintings on the video monitor during the service. This one is called Sunday Morning, and it reflects, I think, that window up there. Maybe at a time in the year, maybe when it was more springtime than summertime. But I think that image really spoke to us, and that's why it's on the cover of our bulletin today. So to that end, we've also put together an insert in today's order of service with some of the paintings. You can look at that or keep it for home. And if you'd like to move to another seat closer to the front or to the center to make it easier to see the monitor, please feel free to do that at any time during the service. For those of you who have a car outside with a bell ringing, please don't run, walk to your car to stop that. For those of you participating in the service remotely, you can find the order of service, including the insert, on the church website. We extend our thanks this morning also to our musicians, Brian Bartling on lute and Stu Armstrong on the piano, who will accompany the hymns and our last song. Let us now center our hearts and minds as we begin our worship together. Now, please join me in our chalice lighting by joining me in saying the opening words. This light burns also in our hearts, and it lights our path towards harmony, justice, and hope for all. This morning we light also our sabbatical chalice and take a moment to silently send our thoughts and care to our senior minister, Reverend Liz. While she is away for reflection and renewal, know she too kindles her own chalice each Sunday morning and takes a moment to send her thoughts and care here to all of us. May this sabbatical be fruitful for us all, and may our reunion be a joyful fulfillment. Now is our time for greeting. Please feel free to greet those seated near you, to wave or step out and fist bump or elbow bump folks in the meeting house if you'd like. And in a minute, we'll all send a wave to those out away. Please enjoy greeting each other. I'm going to ask now that everybody look up towards the back where the camera is and give a good, strong wave, a summer July wave to the folks who are meeting us online. Hey, everybody. We also today will be reading our church covenant, which is found in the order of service. Please join me in saying that together too. We, the members of the First Unitarian Church of Providence, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the light we know by many names, and with gratitude for our deep connection to each other and to the larger web of existence, covenant to walk together in our search for truth, seeking the paths of wisdom, compassion, and justice. Now let us all stand as we are able and join together in singing hymn number 16 in the gray hymnal, Simple Gifts.
I'm sorry, I've lost my place here. Oh, tags.
Sorry.
That's all right. Well, those words, "'Tis the gift to come down where you ought to be," seem to me a wonderful prelude to this painting by Irene Allen. She calls it a self-portrait, and I think that she has truly come down where she wants to be and where she is meant to be. I think it's interesting that this is not a portrait that deals with features of a face, but with the arrangement of a few simple objects. There's the vase of clear water on the table, a sprig on the table beside it that's probably been cut off, a simple green plant, a pair of scissors, and that delightful origami frog, which is airborne but suspended by a fragile attachment. And what's that about? I think the great thing with a painting is if it asks questions so that we can make our own interpretations. So for me, this is about a life that's dedicated to nurturing and to creativity. And it reminded me of a couple of poems, the first of which is by Nancy Miller Gomez, a poet who works with incarcerated men and women. And here is the excitement of growing a small plant from seed inside those dark walls. Growing apples. There is big excitement in C Block today. On the windowsill, in a plastic ice cream cup, a little plant is growing. This is all the men want to talk about. How an apple seed germinated in the crack of damp concrete. How they tore open tea bags to collect the leaves, bleached them in water, then laid the sprout onto the bed made of Lipton. How this finger of spring dug one delicate root down to the dark fannings, and now 2 small sleeves of green are pushing out from the emerging tip. The men are tipsy with this miracle. Each morning, one by one, they go to the window and check the progress of the struggling plant. All through the day, they return to stand over the seedling and whisper. And back to the painting, what of the cut stem? Is this a pruning or is it a cutting for propagation? Either way, I see the nurture and care necessary to tend to a plant as a metaphor for the love and attention we bring to our families, and the cutting as necessary for new growth. This poem by Theodore Retke speaks to that amazing process of propagation that comes with struggle and the urge for new life. It suggests for me how our children cut away from us, but also how they will thrive in new soil. Cuttings. This urge, resurrection of dry sticks, cut stems, struggling to put down feet. What saint strained so much, rose on such lopped limbs to a new life? I can hear underground that sucking and sobbing. In my veins, in my bones, I feel it. The small waters seeping upward, the tight grains parting at last. When sprouts break out, slippery as fish, I quail, lean to beginnings, sheath wet.
We now hear the joys and sorrows of the people in our congregation, as written in the book in the back of the meeting house. Our partner church in Transylvania carved the beautiful candlestick pedestal for the large candle from which we light all our individual candles of joy and sorrow. A candle of awe in memory of Phil Lieberman, a brilliant professor at Brown. He died Tuesday at Rhode Island Hospital, and a candle of consolation for his devoted wife, Marcia. A candle of joy for the poetry in our souls. A candle of hope for Roe versus Wade's resurrection. A candle of fond remembrance and respect for Phil Lieberman, an admirable traditional linguist, inspired photographer, and person of firm opinion. A candle of remembrance for the life and work of my friend, William Jess Russell, who passed this week peacefully at home. Bill was my friend and was the liturgist at St. Mark's Church in the Bowery in New York City. That church reminds me so much of this sanctuary, and Bill would have enjoyed a poetry service like this today. Finally, a candle of lamentation for First U's absence at Providence Pride last month. Friends, let us rest in gladness that we have each other to share in our joys and our sorrows. It makes all the difference. Let us now take a moment to prepare for prayer and meditation by opening our hearts to the powerful and light-hearted words of Mary Oliver. After the words, we'll take a moment of silent meditation, and then Brian will provide a little bit of his beautiful lute music. During the time of silence, if you have lost someone close to you in the past year, we invite you to stand or raise your hand in silent witness of your loss. On meditating, sort of. Meditation, so I've heard, is best accomplished if you entertain a certain strict posture. Frankly, I prefer just to lounge under a tree. So why should I think I could ever be successful? Some days I fall asleep or land in that even better place, half asleep, where the world, spring, summer, autumn, winter, flies through my mind in its hearty ascent and its uncompromising descent. So I just lie like that, while distance and time reveal their true attitudes. They never heard of me and never will, nor ever need to. Of course, I wake up finally, thinking how wonderful it is to be who I am, made out of earth and water, my own thoughts, my own fingerprints, all that glorious, temporary stuff.
I related the poem The Layers by Poet Laureate Stanley Kunitz to Irene Allen's 2013 painting called Traces. Irene created Traces when she was 73 years old, She painted over a previous painting where only traces of the original are visible. Her transformed, multi-layered painting results in a new idea with hints of what went before. Irene writes, "We all go through life with our past gradually fading from view and our energy forging new directions based on selected pieces of that past." Stanley Kunitz was also 73 years old when he composed his 44-line, single-stanza, free-verse poem, The Layers. The Layers by Stanley Kunitz. I've walked through many lives, some of them my own, and I'm not who I was, though some principle of being abides, from which I struggle not to stray. When I look behind, as I am compelled to look before I can gather strength to proceed on my journey, I see the milestones dwindling toward the horizon and the slow fires trailing from the abandoned campsites over which scavenger angels wheel on heavy wings. Oh, I have made myself a tribe out of my true affections, and my tribe is scattered. How shall the heart be reconciled to its feast of losses? In a rising wind, the manic dust of my friends, those who fell along the way, bitterly stings my face. Yet I turn, exulting somewhat with my will intact to go wherever I need to go, and every stone on the road precious to me. In my darkest night, when the moon was covered and I roamed through wreckage, a nimbus-clouded voice directed me. Live in the layers, not on the litter. Though I lack the art to decipher it, no doubt the next chapter in my book of transformations is already written. I am not done with my changes. On the 37th line, Mr. Kunitz writes, "Live in the layers, not on the litter." He should suggest we are not the people we were. We're forever transforming, holding on to the essence of who we will always be. Our ability to grow relies on our ability to find meaning and strength from the layers of our lives, from all the experiences we've had and the people we've been. Our ability to grow relies on our ability to reconcile the litter, to not hold on to the litter, the messy, superficial, meaningless things in our lives, the events, the regrets, the disappointments, and unfulfilled expectations that keep us from changing and experiencing joy. In order to change and live with joy, we reconcile our losses, not only the loss of our physical and mental capabilities, but also our family and friends we've outlived. Mr. Kunitz ends his wise poem with a hopeful line. I am not done with my changes. I can imagine Irene feeling this sentiment as she moved through the passages of her life.
I love the silliness of the poem Jabberwocky, how it can be read any way the reader feels. Irene's love of dragons reminds me of my own. For me, they embody pure creativity, adventure, fierceness, and mystic wisdom. They represent the potential inherent in facing one's obstacles. Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jujube bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And, as in oofish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head, he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, callooh, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe.
It's really delightful. I really want to thank Kim Noble in particular for this idea of connecting Irene's work with poems. We did this last year with poetry and music, but to add art, and of course particularly Irene's art, is not quite overwhelming, because here I am standing up, but it's delightful. And I also want to thank Richard Buber for proposing the poem that I've selected. But first I want to talk a little bit about Irene, because when she submitted paintings for an art exhibit, typically she was required to come up with an artist's statement. And a year ago, right around now, as I was preparing a book on Irene's art, I came across an artist's statement that has stayed with me ever since. She wrote that the goal of all her work was to capture the energy, excitement, and mystery of the universe. I had to see that in writing, because that's not the way she talked. I mean, it was quite. At any rate, this particular painting, it's a diptych that she chose for the front hallway of our house, and clearly something that she was particularly proud of. She called it Everybody Dance. So my poem is by a Nobel Prize winner, a Polish poet named Wisława Szymborska. And for her, too, there is definitely energy, excitement, and mystery, but a major difference. And that is that life is a privilege, and she does use the word privilege, but it demands just about everything we have, except the opportunity to dance. So it's almost an opposite, but not quite. Life while you wait. I know nothing of the role I play. I only know it's mine. I can't exchange it. I have to guess on the spot just what this play's all about. Ill-prepared for the privilege of living, I can barely keep up with the pace that the action demands. I improvise, although I loathe improvisation. I trip at every step over my own ignorance. I can't conceal my hayseed manners. Words and impulses you can't take back. Stars you'll never get counted. Your character like a raincoat you button on the run. The pitiful results of all this unexpectedness. If only I could just rehearse one Wednesday in advance, or repeat a single Thursday that has passed. But here comes Friday with a script I haven't seen. Is it fair, I ask? My voice a little hoarse, since I couldn't even clear my throat off stage. You'd be wrong to think that it's just a slapdash quiz taken in makeshift accommodation. Oh no. I'm standing on the set and I see how strong it is. The props are surprisingly precise. The machine rotating the stage has been around even longer. The farthest galaxies have been turned on. Oh no, there's no question. This must be the premiere. And whatever I do will become forever what I've done.
When the Atrium Bookstore Committee decided to rename the bookstore as Irene's Book Nook, I asked Tony if he would be willing to donate a painting of Irene's to the church. Tony was more than thrilled and invited Susie Dorr, Janet Taylor, and me to visit his house and select one. We were all drawn to her magnificent painting of a birch tree. I called it the Tree of Life. Later we learned through the work of Tony and Amy Webb that it was titled February and was painted in fierce winter days. Irene's beautiful painting spoke to me. You see, I have always had a grand love affair with trees. From my earliest days as a young child, climbing the old black oak at the top of the hill, to the pines we scaled at Sachem's Head in Highland Park, to the old birch that stood sentinel outside our kitchen window. When I was 12 or so, my best friend Judy and I would traipse around the rural town of Greenfield with her adventuresome mom. She would take us hiking and fishing and teach us how to swing from birch trees. It took a while, but we eventually learned to climb to the very top and throw our bodies out feet first, far enough to bend the tree and then drop down safely to the ground. Irene's tree, painted in fierce winter days, is resplendent with a bright swash of color and stands unwavering in the winter light. It belies the time of year with such vibrant color. It seems inherent in the tree to be so alive. Let me read for you Birches by Robert Frost, which explains my need to find refuge in nature and from time to time to escape this weary old world of ours. I had the chance to hear the poet read this poem when I was a college student. And later, when visiting Irene and Tony in New Hampshire, I had the chance to wander around Frost's homestead. Both are treasured memories. Birches by Robert Frost. When I see birches bend to left and right across the lines of straighter, darker trees, I like to think some boy's been swinging them. But swinging doesn't bend them down to stay, as ice storms do. Often you must have seen them, loaded with ice, a sunny winter morning after a rain. They click upon themselves as the breeze rises and turns many-colored, as the stir cracks and crazes their enamel. Soon the sun's warmth makes them shed crystal shells, shattering and avalanching on a snow crust. Such heaps of broken glass to sweep away, you'd think the inner dome of heaven had fallen. They are dragged to the withered bracken by the load, and they seem not to break. Though once they are bowed, so low for long, they never right themselves. You may see their trunks arching in the woods years afterwards, trailing their leaves on the ground like girls on hands and knees who throw their hair before them over their heads to dry in the sun. But I was going to say, when Truth broke in with all of her matter of fact about the ice storm, I should prefer to have some boy bend them as he went out and in to fetch the cows. Some boy too far from town to learn baseball, whose only play was what he found himself, summer or winter, and could play alone. One by one, he subdued his father's trees by riding them down over and over again until he took the stiffness out of them, and not one but hung limp. Not one was left for him to conquer. He learned all there was to learn about not launching out too soon, and so not carrying the tree away clear to the ground. He always kept his poise to the top branches, climbing carefully, with the same pains you use to fill a cup up to the brim and even above the brim. Then he flung outward, feet first, with a swish, kicking his way down through the air to the ground. So was I once myself a swinger of birches, and so I dream of going back to be. It's when I'm weary of considerations and life is too much like a pathless wood, where your face burns and tickles with the cobwebs broken across it, and one eye is weeping from a twig having lashed it open. I'd like to get away from earth a while and then come back to it and begin again. May no fate willfully misunderstand me and half grant what I wish and snatch me away, not to return. No, earth's the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. I'd like to go by climbing a birch tree and climb black branches up a snow-white trunk toward heaven till the tree could bear no more, but dipped its top and set me down again. That would be good, both going and coming back. One could do worse than be a swinger of birches.
Song cycle number 6, like several of the other poems, paintings we've shared with you today is hanging in the atrium as part of a show of Irene's most recent and some of her more abstract work. I might get this a little wrong. She was part of the art collaborative, the art collaborative, and those folks in this congregation host a series of exhibits in the atrium, and this exhibit that's up now is Irene's, this is from that exhibit, which is still up. Check it out. When I first saw the painting last fall, it stopped me in my tracks. It just lights me up. What I see is a fistful of ribbons streaming in the breeze. It seems to me to be holding a place for joy, a place for beauty. And that energy and excitement is so precious now, especially as many of us have been thrown from our place of equanimity by fear and the losses we've endured during this difficult time. This painting says, don't give up. Don't forget what's possible. Hold on to hope. Which brings me to the poem I've selected. Diana, who is my go-to expert in all things about poetry, said, when you do this exercise of pairing a visual with a poem, don't work it too hard, don't overthink it. I'm the queen of overthinking. So it was really great to have that message. She told me to go with my own feelings. And so I selected a poem by Naomi Shihab Nye. Tony told me that Irene liked her as a poet too. And the poem I've selected has a funny name. It's called Every Day as a Wide Field, Every Page. It was written in 2021, and it seems shaped by the pandemic, but almost miraculously, to me, it's truthful about the hard slog we've been through and the possibilities and wonder that will bring us back to hope and to each other. So here goes. Standing outside, staring at a tree, gentles our eyes. We cheer to see fireflies winking again. Where have our friends been all the long hours? Minds stretching beyond the field become their own skies. Windows, doors grow more important. Look through a word, swing that sentence wide open. Kneeling outside to find sturdy green, glistening blossoms under the breeze that carries us silently. And there were so many more poems to read, countless friends to listen to. We didn't have to be in the same room, the great modern magic. Everywhere together now, even scared together now, from all points of the globe, which lessened it somehow. Hopeful together too, exchanging winks in the dark, the little lights blinking. When your hope shrinks, you might feel the hope of someone far away lifting you up. Hope is the thing. Hope was always the thing. What else did we give each other from such distances? Breath of syllables, sing to me from your balcony, please. Befriend me in the deep space. When you paused for a poem or a painting, it could reshape the day you had just been living. I took my stage left cue too fast. So now is the time for our offertory, and we've been warmed by by fires here we did not build. We have drunk at wells we did not dig. And we have gathered in fellowship in this space that is far. I really messed this up, folks. Hold on. You guys are reading along saying, what is she doing now? I'm so sorry. Well, I finished my poem. That's a good thing. Now, yes, how about a hymn? Please rise as you are able and join me in singing hymn number 108, My life goes on in endless song. Okay. We have been warmed by fires we did not build. We have drunk at wells we did not dig. And we have gathered in fellowship in this space that is far older than any of us assembled. But it is this space that we create and recreate anew that bonds us to each other. We pass our collection baskets to make a community expression of thanks for our many blessings, those we have witnessed and those yet to come. The morning offering for the work of the congregation will now be generously given and gratefully received. As always, thank you for all that you give, for all that you do, and for all that you are. now is the time for me to offer you some invitations. And the first one I'd like to make is, I think we're having refreshments outside in the breezeway after the service. I hope everyone will join for that. Our service next Sunday will be led by the LGBTQIA+ Soul Circle, who will share their experience of finding a haven within a circle of queer friends. Their blurb in the services says, "Join the First U LGBTQIA+ Soul Circle in examining and celebrating the significance and beauty of our diversity, as well as the amazing gifts of inclusivity and strength our community can cultivate." We look forward to seeing you next week. I also have an invitation from the food pantry team. The food pantry distribution is tomorrow, and the setup is today. We are in need of assistance after the service today because some of the regular team members are away. We will be making boxes and moving food from the Haynes room to the atrium. If you could spare 30 to 45 minutes after the service, we could use 3 additional people to help. Please come to the atrium and see Ted Martin if you are able to help. Ted, are you in the? He's already worked. He's probably got the boxes already built. Ted's over there. Finally, be sure to check the First U Times, our weekly newsletter that is the single source for news, events, and everything that is happening at First Unitarian. First U Times is sent by email to all our members, friends, and others who sign up to receive it. You can access it and sign up through our church website or fill out a guest registry form at the welcome table in the meeting house. Now, I'd ask everyone to join me in saying our closing words. Carry the flame of peace and love and hope until we meet again.